Hi, guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called The Foreign Object Was Me. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! A place of holiness where many saints and holy ones have been born. There was one child here who everyone resents in the Imperial Temple Orphanage. Her name? Belleie, the designated outcast and the living embodiment of impurity in a den of blessed prodigies. Prodigies like Diana Barilote, who shines as the bright light to Belleie's darkness. In short, she was her complete opposite in every possible way. In the holy nation of Area, nobles and commoners alike worship the goddess, and there is one figure who can never be excluded from the legacy and history of the nation: the saint. The children from the orphanage are rumored to be blessed by the gods and were naturally gifted. Belleie's ability was the power of healing, a gift that makes her a candidate for saint. However, she never got further than the title, all because of Diana. Both arrived at the same time at the orphanage, at the same age, and both possessed healing powers. But while Diana mends fatal wounds, Belleie struggles with paper cuts. Talk about unfairness. Despite being candidates for sainthood, their paths diverge from the start. Diana, with her noble sponsor and divine gifts, soars with praise, while Belleie remains trapped in her shadow, until the unexpected happens. Duke Kalios and his son Edwin have chosen Belleie, the powerless, bitter girl who had lost even her healing eyes. Finally, a chance. Or so she thought. Years after reaching adulthood and changing her status to a noble, what was meant to be a happy life for Belleie never was. She is still considered an outcast. Furthermore, it seems like Diana is still living the life as her healing powers prove to be of greatness. Great enough to be the saint of this generation. And to add with that, she is engaged to Edwin. Just by those facts, Belleie's envy festers like a bad wound. So when a shady aide from the Crown Prince shows up and offers her a way to win with a letter of evidence and a bottle of poison, she takes the bait without a single thought, following the instructions he gave her. Huge mistake. The whole "put the letter and poison down at the Marquise's residence" plan was a setup, and Belleie takes the fall, dragging the Kalios legacy down with her as traitors. On the execution platform, her final thought revolves around questioning the horrible things happening to her, as if she's some disposable villain in a cliché novel. Turns out, she really was a villain in a typical and stereotypical novel. From the world of destined to become a saint, Diana is, to no one's surprise, the main character, and poor Belleie is the scapegoat in her measly world where it will always work out in her favor. As soon as she thinks everything is over for her, Belleie wakes up again in her 5-year-old body with memories from her previous life intact. With a moment of existential crisis, she realizes the novel's plot doesn't match her past life. Has she altered fate for the Kalios family? And the universe isn't done trolling her. A nasty priestess, the same one who made her first life hell in the orphanage, starts berating her. Belleie meets her with a silent glare. She remembers the woman's incurable cough, and this time, she'll keep that secret. Let the script flip. The healing eye is a special ability of Belleie that allows her to identify any ailment through colors, with blue marking incurable diseases. What is considered a blessing is also a curse, as this power leads to her downfall in her previous life. As a child, she bluntly told a priestess of her impending death. Bad choice of words, alright, but she was just a child. Branded as being possessed by malice, she gets thrown into the chamber of repentance. It was just temporary until the priestess did pass as predicted. Belleie's punishment only worsened. With that outcome, her abilities began to fade, vanishing completely by age 7. Back to the present time, Belleie decides to bite her tongue, intending not to tell the priestess of her sickness at all, even if she would continuously mock and compare her again to perfect Diana. But her mind races with regrets to the memories she had back then. If only she hadn't acted so rebellious, maybe she would have left the orphanage sooner. Alas, pride had been her poison. Determined to change and live a better life, she resolves to become like Diana. Yet she faces another obstacle. It seems like her adult mind struggles to control her current child body's abilities, as her written scriptures about Saint Archia's sacrifice smear into illegible writings. Memories surface of the Kalios family patiently teaching her to read and write in her past life. Their kindness is stark contrast to the temple scorn. The thought steals her. This time, she'll do everything to repay the love and kindness they gave to her. Awake of her new behavior, such as finishing vile meals and ignoring taunts, it had the orphanage buzzing. Who is this new Belleie, and why was she no longer causing trouble? Amidst the commotion, she is assigned to wear a fancy-looking dress, and that important guests want to meet with her. None of it fits the timeline she remembered, as no one should have been visiting her at this time. The guest behind the door awaits. There they stand, the very people she would never forget. Duke Kalios and young Edwin, alive and unbroken. The family she had doomed before and the family she loved. Belleie faces the Duke of Kalios, Liam Kalios, with a pounding heart. Meeting the Kalios family years ahead of schedule was not what happened in her previous life. But if fate was giving her an early opportunity, she'd seize it. Swallowing her emotions, she greets them with perfect etiquette, startling Duke Liam. Had he always looked at her with such kind intensity? But when it comes to Edwin, she couldn't look him right in the eye. She's afraid she would burst into tears. However, Edwin, ever the bold one, confronts her directly, and suddenly the memories crash over her. The weight of it all shatters her composure, and she does end up doing what she feared. With the Duke and Edwin utterly bewildered by such a reaction, Belleie's heart aches as her child body betrays her. The priest scrambles to excuse her behavior, rambling about the Kalios family's fearsome reputation being the iron blood houses that shed no blood and tears. But Belleie knows better. The Kalios family is more than just their exterior. They were kind and generous. They had been her family. Their kindness was a balm to her scars. Even with the priest trying to dismiss the family to sponsor Belleie by describing her as useless, the Duke dismisses him with a cold tone. They needed her as their last hope, for the Duke's second son was dying, and even Diana's miraculous powers had failed to do so. Belleie's stomach dropped. This wasn't how it happened before. In her past life, the boy had died when she was 7. Why was everything accelerating? Edwin's odd question echoes in her mind, mirroring their first meeting in the original timeline. Was fate rewriting itself? Or was she? Edwin's words were too familiar. It was exactly as Belleie remembers it from their first meeting in her past life. Is it possible he remembered? No, impossible. If he recalls their shared history, he wouldn't have left the day the family was ruined. The Duke's voice cuts through her thoughts, mentioning having another child who was dignified and well-mannered. She instantly thinks of Joshua, the second son, also mentioning she treated him the previous year. The memory may be vague from her previous life, but she grasps the opportunity to tell and offers to help. She thinks this was her chance to repay her debt to the Kalios family. Now, having been accepted and invited to the Duke's estate, Belleie's heart was soaring with a promise to herself to heal Joshua. However, the High Priest Dunkeski wants to offer her some words of advice. Alone, too. Quite suspicious. Even Edwin was wary of the situation. From the High Priest's perspective, there was no way Belleie could heal the second son when Diana couldn't cure it herself. She would just end up tarnishing the temple's reputation with her promises. One thing Belleie knew for sure, the temple saw her as disposable, but Belleie refuses to play the scapegoat again. She attempts to taunt him, but he taunts her back about the worst things that every child would be afraid of. His threats carries the stench of the Chamber of Repentance, where failed candidates like Ismail lost their voices and gifts. The High Priest says that she should act accordingly, as the goddess will bring more blessings to good children and perhaps help her become the saint. The same hollow words, the same empty promises, flashing through her mind like a cruel echo of her past life. The very words that gave hope. Hope that cost her nothing but endless suffering. Even with the threats, Belleie plays the role of obedience as she had promised herself. She soon joins the Kalios family at the carriage and at the Duke's estate, where her resolve hardens. Joshua's life and her chance to rewrite fate hung in the balance. Joshua is the youngest son of the Duke, and he has a chronic illness that causes his wounds to bleed unusually. After the much-needed inspection from his soaked bandages, Belleie recalls from before that he had died not from excessive bleeding, but a heart attack. She's certain that the illness is situated at the heart, but the cause? She has no clue because the energy that emanates from Joshua was the color orange, diseases of unknown origins. However, that same eerie glow can be seen on Edwin. Instead of speculating the origin of the disease, Belleie decides to heal the root cause, the heart. But she was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Gordon and his outburst. Belleie's mind races. How could she explain the heart condition without exposing her ability? Not only that, Lady Caston is there, Joshua's nurse and a maid of the estate who dislikes her the most in her past life. At this pace, will she be able to give Joshua the treatments? Lady Caston shows distrust on the young Belleie's abilities to heal Joshua since she is his nanny. But fortunately for Belleie, the Duke defends her and asks for the nanny and Gordon to trust her capabilities. Belleie steps forward, preparing to use her healing abilities on Joshua despite also doubting herself like the others. Healing required life force, and life force sprang from faith, a truth Diana had once counseled her with. Swallowing pride, she prays to Goddess Araya for the first time, for guidance and for power. A tremendous surge of power burst from within her body, surprising the other people inside the room. It was so vast that it even shook the room. When the golden light disappears, everyone frantically approaches to check on Joshua. The bleeding stopped and wounds scabbed. He was healing. And then Joshua's eyelids flutter open. With Joshua waking up, everyone surrounds him in surprise, save for Belleie staying back to allow the family to rejoice. Upon noticing her, it turns out Joshua recognizes her, and it seems like they both made a promise together. However, Belleie doesn't remember a thing as she stumbles, blood trickling from her nose, and vision blurring at the edges from the healing she had executed on Joshua. Darkness soon swallows her vision and she collapses. This is, after all, the first time she's used her divine energy all at once. Drifting through dreamland, Belleie finds herself in the temple courtyard during the goddess's last birthday celebration. There, she sees the distinct memory of her past self meeting Joshua and treating his injury. Remembering that, regret curdles in her chest and the weight of it lingers. She had completely forgotten the promise they made. In this life, certain for sure, she will completely heal him. Consciousness returned slowly, and the first thing she wanted to do was finish what she started. But Edwin stops her with a firm hand. The Duke agrees. She needs rest. The Duke reveals how Joshua spoke fondly of a sister from the temple who once healed his injury last year. The majority of the details were spared, for it was a secret between them. She was indeed that sister. But his next words carry a grateful decree. They will need her strength again soon. Yet Gordon has a different say to this. Aside from the fact that this may strain Belleie's body, he confirms something else while checking her unconscious body. Her heart is not beating at all. In the past, on the days Belleie spent imprisoned in endless suffering and torture, she discovers another hidden ability. She can survive without a heart. Did her heart fail to return when she returned to the past? Was this truly a blessing from the goddess as the second prince had claimed before? However, even with the evidence that she has a weak pulse, Belleie knew for sure that even without a heart, it won't kill her. Her main priority was treating Joshua without his illness worsening. This leads to her and Gordon to argue. The Duke finalized the verdict. The treatment continues only if she accepts the support provided by the ducal family. Before leaving, she asks for Relius herbs for an effective recovery, much to Gordon's chagrin. This was all for Joshua's recovery since she has no clue when she will come back to treat him. However, she also requested for Edwin to be checked, which raised suspicions. With a very much needed explanation as to why it might be a possible heart condition, she instantly laughs it off that she read it from a book. A momentary lapse in her part. Even Edwin was questioning the possibility if she can read. Nevertheless, Gordon was certain that she was right. With personally seeing her heal the frail Joshua and the possibility it might be hereditary, he fully agrees to check on the family. Belleie soon bids farewell to the estate despite being reluctant about leaving, but the high priest was waiting for her. Not without a goodbye to the young lord, of course. But before entering the carriage, Edwin tells her to call him by his name and bids her graciously with a smile. That much gave her hope. Doubts and changes may still be present, but Belleie just hopes she'll be able to see him again. Meanwhile, at the ducal estate, the family decides to support Belleie for the successful treatment. Yet, there is one who opposes this decision. Logan, the Duke's assistant, is fully on Diana's side despite her failed attempt to treat Joshua. Edwin quickly scorns the male as he is aware that Logan supports Diana because he manages her donation funds. Joshua's condition had only worsened under Diana's care, with the temple telling them that there was nothing to be done. Furthermore, Gordon also agrees with the Duke to support Belleie as she was knowledgeable, and because of her theory about Joshua's illness being hereditary that came from the late Duchess's family. Facts are laid bare. Diana's failures, Belleie's results, the alarming pattern of hereditary illness uncovered solely because of Belleie's insight. Somewhere in the temple where the High Priest currently is, tension simmers in the wake of Belleie's miraculous healing. He demands her to tell him what exactly happened since they received a formal letter from the Duke that demands that she will be sponsored by the Duke himself. An ominous aura of dark purple flames that reflect darkness surged in the High Priest, and in a fleeting rage, he accuses Belleie for ruining everything by healing Joshua. He desires the sickly boy to die? What a vile man! Believing she is possessed by an evil spirit, she is sent to reflect on her actions in the very place she loathed in her previous life. The Chamber of Repentance. Oh no, will they take away Belleie's powers? Deep within the temple lies the Chamber of Repentance. It wasn't truly a place to repent and reflect, nor a place for those possessed by spirits, but rather a hidden place to take away the children's blessed gifts in accordance with the High Priest's will. Belleie finds herself confined in the same chamber that took away her powers back in her previous life. However, she has one goal as of this very moment. She will protect her powers at all costs. So she sits there starving with no sleep. She grows reluctant with whatever they might do with her if she ever strays her mind for a second. Suddenly, a red thunderous energy takes place in the cell she was in, and is that an ancient language circle? It was the room itself absorbing divine powers. Belleie calls out for help, but alas, her strength drains her, and soon after, darkness consumes her. Another fractured memory takes place where an adult Edwin rescues her from prison and they both escape with guards chasing after them. Even on the brink of treason, an adult Belleie shows remorse for everything she had done to the Kallios family, but Edwin instead gives her back her heart, even going so much to console her that she will always be part of the family no matter what. Albeit the sentimental moment, the guards had them surrounded and everything went even more of a downhill when Edwin protects Belleie, ultimately reaching his death. Going back to the present, the young Belleie wakes up in a fleeting, teary moment to see someone who looked like the adult Edwin holding her tightly. Finally, seeing the person with a clear vision, it was Duke Kallios holding her, and surrounding them were the people from the temple. The Duke came to save her, right before her powers get taken away too! What a relief! Originally, the Duke intends to visit the temple and immediately senses that something was not right. The dead giveaway is the herbal medicine in a pouch she got from Gordon that seemed to have dropped prior to her meeting with the High Priest. He soon shows a cold, dark, scornful stare at the people of the temple, demanding them to tell him what exactly was this room they were in. Needless to say, the High Priest attempts to brush it off as some kind of misunderstanding, that the room is merely a place for exorcism. But the Duke does not believe a word he says about Belleie being possessed, and believes that the spirit is drawn to the High Priest. Wielding his sword, he expresses anger to the old man and offers to assist in this so-called ritual. It was put onto a stop by the Pope. Fortunately, the Pope hears what he needed to hear from Belleie about the chamber, and ultimately decides to expel Dunkeski from the church, even including other people from the temple who were directly involved. With Duke Kallios officially sponsoring Belleie with the Pope's approval, she is now free from the temple's clutches. But first comes first. She visited the High Priest one last time and unleashed her power to remove the ominous energy away. All is well for Belleie now. Or is it? She casts her power onto him, prompting him to ask for forgiveness. She asks the knights to escort him to the Imperial Investigation Bureau, then meets with Duke Kallios, who notices she's burning up. Belleie wakes up and realizes she slept in Duke Kallios' arms, probably from exhaustion from powers. Suddenly, Tara greets her. In her past life, Tara treated her kindly, but Belleie pushed her away. Eventually, she joined the maids who tormented her, but this time, she'll be different. Moments later, Tara dresses her up in a blue dress, noticing how thin Belleie is. Then she gives her the medicine Gordon made and she takes it. Suddenly, Emma appears and scolds Tara for not bringing Belleie to treat Joshua on time. She turns to Belleie and speaks harshly about her responsibilities. Emma is the late Duchess's attendant. It'd be unwise to act recklessly. Though she's not outright disrespectful, she views Belleie with disdain. Belleie asks to be taken to Joshua. Maybe Emma will accept her if she sees how effective her healing is. In Joshua's room, Gordon and Joshua greet her, calling her Miss. She notices the orange flame in Joshua's heart has weakened. Seeing Belleie well, Gordon remarks on his medicine's effectiveness. Then Belleie turns to Joshua and tells him if he does well in today's treatment, he won't need to take medicine. If he does well and doesn't cry, he'll be given a reward. Moments later, Belleie begins her treatment. She needs to be precise to extinguish the remaining flames in him. While she treats him, Joshua shivers in pain. As she finishes up, Emma interferes with the treatment and pushes Belleie away, calling her a witch. She shouldn't interfere with their treatment or it might cause more problems. Concerned, Emma rushes to Joshua. She and Gordon argue over the treatment while Belleie gets up. She nearly made a mistake while retracting her power. Emma blames Belleie causing Joshua pain, but Belleie remains unfazed. She asks how Joshua is feeling, but he scratches his leg. To their surprise, the wound has healed. Belleie confronts Emma, saying if she had pushed her before she withdrew her power, Joshua could have been gravely hurt. She hopes it won't happen again. Emma is infuriated, but Joshua turns to her and asks her to correct her actions. She apologizes to Belleie and offers to accept any punishment, but Belleie refuses. She understands Emma acted out of concern and instead asks to trust her in healing Joshua. Moments later, Gordon prescribes her some medicine. Last time, he prescribed a heart-fortifying medicine to amplify its effects and numb the pain. That's what's been boosting her powers. She tells him it's effective and asks for more. Suddenly, Edwin asks if Joshua's finished with his treatment. Belleie feels awkward seeing him, but Edwin asks how she is. She responds, remembering to call him by his name. Joshua comments on their friendship and explains why he calls Belleie Miss. Then he shows Edwin he's fully healed. As Edwin checks, Belleie notices Emma glaring at him and wonders why. Emma stops Edwin and reminds him of his swordsmanship lessons. Suddenly, Gordon interrupts and asks everyone to leave to let Joshua rest. Joshua asks Belleie to grant him his wish. He wants her to play with him. While they walk through the halls, Edwin asks Gordon to take good care of Belleie, explaining he's grateful for her. Gordon mentions Emma's favoritism towards Joshua, but Edwin doesn't mind. He understands her grief. She's fixated on Joshua because he looks exactly like their late mother. Edwin is so mature and considerate. He adds that he understands her favoritism. Joshua was hurt because of his carelessness, putting his life at risk, but he's glad he's no longer in pain. In Joshua's room, they play dress-up with jewels. Joshua offers a ring to Belleie. It's his mother's favorite ring. He shares his wish to wear all of his mother's jewelry, but he plays with them instead. Belleie has an idea. She takes a ribbon from her dress, loops the ring onto it, and ties it around Joshua's neck. She suggests asking for a proper chain, but Joshua refuses. He likes it that way. From a distance, Emma glares at the children. They continue playing until it's time to clean up. Tara fetches Belleie and promises Joshua they'll play again next time. As they clean up, Belleie notices Emma calm down. In her past life, she wonders what happened between her and Edwin that strained their relationship. As they walk through the halls, she asks Tara about Edwin and Emma's ill relationship. Tara explains that after Joshua got sick, it caused their relationship to drift apart. But it's not Edwin's fault. Tara cheers her up and asks her about her playdate with Joshua. Belleie mentions the ring and asks if she wasn't supposed to touch it. Tara explains that Joshua never showed it to anyone, not even Emma. She advises Belleie not to let Emma know about the ring, and she agrees. A few days later, Duke Kallios and Edwin head to the temple to finalize Belleie's sponsorship. In Belleie's room, Tara asks her what she'd like to do. She wants to practice writing. Tara brings her a sheet of paper and quill pen, and she begins to write her plans. Her fourth plan is to make a lot of money. She can't depend on House Kallios forever. Her last plan is to find her heart. In her past life, she left her heart with Edwin and has no idea where it is now. As she burns the paper, she notices how noisy it is outside her room. She steps out and Emma confronts her. The Duchess's ring is missing. She shows Belleie's ribbon, found in the corridor connecting Joshua's and Emma's room, and accuses her of stealing it. To prove her innocence, Belleie willingly lets them search her room. She suspects someone took the ring since the jewels were put away. Moments later, the ring is found in Belleie's drawer. She defends herself, but Emma scolds her harshly. Suddenly, Joshua appears, crying and defending Belleie. Another maid speaks, saying the ribbon Belleie used for the ring was found in the hallway. Belleie realizes the maid took the ring. She wasn't around when she and Joshua cleaned up. Defensively, the maid tries to explain herself, but suddenly, Duke Kalios and Edwin appear. He offers to interrogate the maid himself. The maid speaks disrespectfully and accuses Belleie of theft. Duke Kalios defends her. Disrespecting Belleie means disrespecting him. Then Edwin defends her too. Suddenly, the maid gets down on her knees and begs for mercy, admitting she stole it. She panicked when it was discovered too soon and decided to blame Belleie, leaving Emma speechless. Duke Kalios orders the maid to be taken away. If he and Edwin hadn't arrived, Belleie would have been accused of theft. Moments later, Emma apologizes to Belleie. Belleie accepts her apology, hoping they'll get along. But Emma would insist on taking responsibility by leaving the manor. I'm a bit happy she's leaving. Not long after, Emma voluntarily leaves the manor. She explains herself to Joshua, saying she'll only see him in the Duchess's shadow. Joshua tells her he enjoys playing Prince with her using his mother's jewelry, but he noticed it made her sad, so he hid the jewelry. Touched by his kindness, Emma comforts him and asks Belleie to heal him. Seeing Diana's ineffective healing, she promises Emma she'll heal Joshua. Emma gets inside the carriage, saying if she meets Diana again, she'll assure her not to worry about her. She explains Diana asked how to comfort Belleie because of her weak healing power. If Diana mentioned her weak power, it explains why Kalios staff didn't trust her. Was she truly concerned or hiding an ulterior motive? Moments later, Belleie asks Joshua about Edwin. Joshua says he's at the training grounds and hates being watched. A few days later, Belleie uses her spare time to find the fairy herb, her source of funds. From the novel, the fairy herb has exceptional skincare effects and only grows in Kalios Manor. Suddenly, she hears noise from the training ground. She sneaks a peek at Edwin and sees his instructor scolding and insulting him. She eavesdrops on their conversation and realizes his instructor is Sir Zolyak. He fought alongside Duke Kalios and became Edwin's instructor. As their training continues, Belleie feels he's bullying Edwin and intervenes. In tears, she orders Zolyak to apologize and charges at him with tears in her eyes, defending Edwin. Aw, that is so cute! In Kalios' office, he settles the matter. Belleie defends Edwin again, but Edwin interrupts. He asks Duke Kalios for Zolyak as his instructor to become stronger. Zolyak says insulting House Kalios was a form of provocation, so emotions don't interfere during battles, but he didn't expect Belleie to react to it. Duke Kalios tells Belleie about the Shadow Guild, House Kalios' living weapon. Edwin requested command over it and will get it if he beats Zolyak. That's why Zolyak increased the training's intensity. He asks Belleie to trust Zolyak. She agrees and apologizes to him. Zolyak teases about her recklessness and admires her courage in saving Edwin, but sacrificing herself could put her in harm. Suddenly, Edwin asks her why she was in the training grounds. She explains she's looking for a heart-shaped leaf herb and asks him if he saw one. He has and shows her. She celebrates in joy, telling him it's a rare herb, and asks how he found it. He discovered it before Joshua got hurt. Belleie notices a scratch on his cheek and tries to heal it, but he pushes her away, not wanting to strain her by using her power. She tells him she's all right, but he scolds her for lying when she's struggling. She didn't even consider the people who worried when she fainted. Belleie is speechless and flustered. Was he worried about her? He admits he was, telling her not to do it again, and she agrees. After returning from the past, Belleie is so focused on repaying House Kalios that she doesn't care of what she's become. Can she dare to dream of a future with them? I can't. They're just too cute. I hope they end up together in this lifetime. Gordon patches Edwin up and remarks on his difficult training, though the Shadow Guild is at stake. Gordon hands Belleie the Relius leaf medicine. She receives it excitedly and remembers she has something for him too, the fairy herb. In her past life, Gordon had a collection of herbs, but he didn't have the fairy herb. He asks where she found it, but says it's a trade secret. Belleie wants Gordon to cultivate the herb, but it's impossible with just one. She offers to bring more. He asks where to find it. Again, it's a trade secret. He gives in and agrees. She reveals where she found it, a shaded area next to a dead tree. He orders her to bring the tree's bark and soil around it so its environment can be recreated. Curious, he asks her what she'll do if he grows more. In the novel, Diana made scent pouches using a large quantity of leaves, but she knows a better way. She teases Gordon with another trade secret and hands him the herb, calling it a bribe. He's determined to cultivate it. It'll bring huge advancements to the medical field. In this society, noble women's concern is slow aging and enhancing beauty, so she'll start a skincare business. Though it takes 3 months to grow the herb. Suddenly, Tara scolds Gordon and tells Belleie Duke Kalios wants to see her privately. Moments later, she arrives at his office. He has something to give her. He pulls a book and a door opens, leading to a passageway. Belleie feels warm as he carries her down the staircase. They arrive at the vault that stores the spoils of religious wars. He shows her Archaea's arrow and the Ring of Heretics. Then, he shows a teddy bear crafted by a small tribe that believes spirits reside within dolls. He hands it to her and calls it her guardian. I love Duke Kalios so much. He's so kind. Though it looks normal, Duke Kalios tells her to imbue it with her powers. To prove she's part of House Kalios, she must succeed. She obeys and the bear absorbs it. Her hands tremble, but Duke Kalios reassures her, giving her determination to succeed. Moments later, it's done. The final step is giving a name. She stutters and names it Teddy. Suddenly, the bear jumps up and begins talking, introducing himself as Teddy. From that day on, Duke Kalios spoils Belleie with numerous gifts and moves her to a new room. Bored, she thinks of visiting Joshua and Gordon, but they're both busy. The only person left is Edwin. The butler kindly asks Belleie to deliver a basket to Edwin, and she gladly agrees. As she walks to the training grounds, she still thinks of Zolyak's training method as bullying. She arrives at the training grounds, shocked to see them practicing with real swords. Edwin notices Belleie and grows worried. He knows Zolyak turns violent when he's worked up, so he can't make him see her. As they train, Zolyak remarks that a leader's incompetence leads to a subordinate's sacrifice. Then Edwin asks if he regrets saving his father. Zolyak hates the topic, but Edwin brings it up to protect Belleie and keep his attention focused on him. Provoked, Zolyak says if Edwin defeats him today, he'll answer the question. Edwin notices his weight is on his left leg, anticipating a strong attack. But suddenly, Zolyak charges at Belleie instead. He says an arrogant swordsman can't protect their loved ones. Edwin calls out for Belleie, but she's frozen in place. Oh my goodness, that can traumatize a child! Suddenly, Zolyak's sword flies around the corner and another voice calls out for Belleie, protecting her. It's Duke Kalios. Zolyak explains himself, saying he had no intention of hurting Belleie. Duke Kalios reminds him to avoid such actions, especially since his leg isn't as strong anymore. Then Edwin approaches Belleie and asks if she's alright. Duke Kalios' remark angers Zolyak and reminds him that he's in that state because he risked his life to protect him. Through her healing eye, Belleie sees purple flames around Zolyak. Belleie can't help but notice his long resentment and grudge against Duke Kalios. Duke Kalios tries to calm him down, but Zolyak laughs. After ruining his life, Duke Kalios ordered Zolyak to be Edwin's instructor. He finally decides to execute his plan, to kill Duke Kalios. He takes out his dagger and charges at him, but Duke Kalios restrains his hand. He tells Zolyak he'll let this slide, but Zolyak refuses. He can never take back what he lost. This leaves Duke Kalios with no choice. Belleie can't feel Zolyak's energy anymore. Edwin tells her to open her eyes, and they see Zolyak's dead body. Duke Kalios apologizes for the scene they've witnessed and tells them to get rest inside. Before they leave, Edwin hands his father a note he found in Zolyak's room. Someone had been encouraging Zolyak to seek revenge. Then, he wonders if Edwin was aware of all Zolyak's actions and chose not to tell him. In Edwin's room, Belleie aids his wound and asks if they could have saved Zolyak using her power. Edwin comforts her, saying he was bound to cause trouble and chose not to have another master because his father was indebted to him. Edwin thought that if he'd endure, everything would settle on its own. But now he wonders if his progress pushed him to despair. Emotional, Belleie jumps into his arms and embraces him. She never knew the burden he had to carry. She asks Edwin to promise that he'll tell her if things like that happen again, and they pinky promise. They're so cute together. Seeing Belleie teary-eyed, he changes the subject to the bear his father gave her. She asks him how he knew, and he says his father showed it to him. He tells her there are more modes, like bodyguard and assassin mode, but his favorite is giant mode. Belleie giggles at the thought of a big bear carrying Edwin. Then he lies down and invites her to nap with him. She realizes he says silly things just to comfort her. She lies down beside him, glances at him and smiles. He's so kind, and that's why she likes him. Then they drift to sleep, holding hands. Months have passed in Kalios Manor. Belleie has been busy with treating Joshua, spending time with Gordon, and is officially a member of House Kalios. Suddenly, she sees a carriage outside and the butler tells her she has a guest. It's Diana Valorette. Apparently, she heard of Belleie's success in treating Joshua and came to apologize to him. They haven't seen each other since Diana left for Valorette Manor, so she'll use the chance to show her she's changed and befriend her. Across the room, Belleie can't help but feel nervous in meeting Diana again. Diana spots Belleie and embraces her excitedly, telling her how much she missed her. Why did she dislike someone so kind? Then, Diana asks Lily, her maid, if she brought the pie. Diana brought pecan pie from the capital and shared it with Belleie. Lily says Diana has been excited, thinking Belleie hasn't had the chance to eat that kind of dessert. Then, Tara says Belleie will try it for the sake of experience, since their kitchen takes great pride in their desserts and offers to make tea. This stirs tension between Tara and Lily. Moments later, Diana and Belleie are left alone in the room. Belleie grows uneasy with the awkward silence and apologizes to Diana for bullying her. Before she could finish, Diana cuts her off, saying she's been worried about her. Marquess Valorette told Diana that Belleie, another aspiring saint, is kept against her will because Diana failed to heal Joshua. Belleie notices her motive. She's trying to play with her nerves. But why? So Diana's kind personality was just a facade? She wonders why she thinks she can't heal Joshua. They have the same power. She's an aspiring saint too. Then Diana asks why she disappeared during the goddess's birthday, assuming she had no faith in her healing powers. Belleie can't admit she hates being compared to Diana, so she blames her troublemaker attitude. She tells Diana she healed Joshua through several treatments, leaving her speechless. Diana urges Belleie to tell the truth. Duke Kalios pitied Belleie after finding her in the atonement cell. Belleie grows suspicious. How did she know? The investigation and the atonement cell was kept secret for the temple's reputation. Diana says she heard about it from a knight. I think Diana is involved with the wrongdoings of the temple. Diana notices Belleie's sad expression and suggests eating sweets to cheer her up, but she refuses. Suddenly, a yellow flame symbolizing allergy or immune disorder surrounds Diana. She looks at the desserts, wondering what she's allergic to. As Diana takes the pie, she expresses her happiness to eat delicious desserts with Belleie, since Marquess Valorette forbids her. Belleie tries to find the dessert. These are all the foods Diana enjoyed in her past life. Suddenly, Diana says her tongue feels numb after eating the pie. Belleie turns around as Diana takes one more bite. Not a second later, Diana's flame grew big, and Belleie tries to help Diana. She climbs on top of Diana, trying to remove the food before she suffocates. Suddenly, Lily appears and pushes Belleie away, thinking she's attacking Diana. Then Tara and Edwin appear, shocked at the scene they witnessed. Lily accuses Belleie of poisoning Diana, but she's left frozen. It feels like the same exact day when she was tricked by the Crown Prince's associates and framed for poisoning Diana. Teary-eyed, she tries to explain herself, saying it wasn't her, but Edwin comforts her. Lily shouts at her and continues to accuse her. This angered Edwin, and he defends Belleie. He turns to Tara and asks if she checked all the foods for poison. She did. Gaining courage from Edwin's protection, Belleie speaks up, saying Diana has an allergy. She approaches Diana and attempts to heal her. Diana suffers a serious allergic reaction. Thankfully, Belleie steps in to heal her. Though the emergency is under control, Belleie insists Diana's maid to get prescribed medication for future attacks. But it's not over. Diana's maid pleads with Belleie to also heal the rash caused by the allergy. Belleie obliges, even though she's already exhausted from using her divine power. Edwin worries. That kind of power takes a toll. Suddenly, Edwin mentions the Duke will arrive soon. As whispers echo through the room, Marquise Barrelette enters, asking Diana if her divine powers were all right. The Duke arrives with Gordon, the Duke's family doctor, from behind to check up on Diana's condition. Thanking Belleie for healing her well, even some of her rashes instantly heals as well. The Marquise accusing Belleie, indirectly, of causing Diana's condition. Then comes a twist. Apricots were the cause of the reaction. But no food with apricots is ever served in the Duke's mansion, stating the second son is allergic to it. The Duke even offers to show the food ledge to prove it. The maid steps forward to accuse Belleie, claiming she forced Diana to eat a pie with apricots, even adding Belleie used to steal food as an orphan. But others quickly defend her. They explain that Belleie was actually helping Diana spit out the pie, not forcing her to eat it. In fact, Belleie even got injured in the process. The Duke puts a stop to the accusations. He tells Diana off gently but firmly, calling out the lie. Then he calmly but clearly tells the Marquise Barolet that it's best that he and Diana no longer visit the Duke's residence again. Marquise Barolet tries to smooth things over, but the Duke isn't having it. As Diana prepares to leave, she asks to say goodbye to Belleie. With fake sympathy, she offers to heal the scratch on her cheek, the one she got while helping Diana. Her tone is polite, but Belleie sees through it. She lets her talk, but remains guarded. She apologizes and says she genuinely wants to spend a pleasant time with her. But as she gets closer to heal her, Belleie notices something alarming. A dark purple aura begins forming around Diana. Belleie narrows her eyes. Something is very wrong. Belleie is finally up after 2 days of bed rest, following the incident with Diana's allergic reaction. She recalls how she used her divine powers to heal Diana, though doing so knocked her out cold. And now, she has to face Diana again. But something still doesn't sit right. During the healing, Belleie caught sight of something chilling. A strange purple aura surrounding Diana. It reminded her of the High Priest's ominous energy from her past life. Whatever that was, it didn't feel like the pure energy a saintess should have. She tries to shake off the unease, convincing herself that maybe she was just nervous, or still weak from channeling divine power. But deep down, she knows that aura wasn't her imagination. Still, Belleie is determined. She tells herself she won't get caught up in envy or the chaos of the past. Not this time. She wants to live differently, to be a saintess who heals others without needing applause or prestige. She just wants to do good in her own quiet way. And even though Diana is beloved and destined to shine in public, Belleie has no desire to compete with her. She's content being in the background, grateful for the Duke family's support, and quietly fulfilling her role. That said, the Goddesses Festival is coming up soon, and Belleie knows exactly what's going to happen, because it already did in her past life. The festival was where Diana revealed her powers for the first time, and everything changed. It was also the day Belleie was humiliated, cast aside like she was nothing. That memory still stings, but she's already decided. This time, she won't fight for recognition or anyone's affection. Meanwhile, in the greenhouse, Belleie shares a small victory with her assistant. She's successfully grown the rare fairy herb, a near-mythical plant she read about in a forbidden text. It's tiny, delicate, and took immense effort to cultivate, but she did it. She beams with pride. Only the plant yields a very small amount of fragrance, just 2 vials worth. Belleie originally thought she'd sell it as incense, but with such a tiny harvest, she'll need a more creative way to introduce it to the world. Her assistant jokingly suggests selling it at a high-end shop, or maybe a royal event. And just like that, Belleie gets an idea. The Goddesses Festival, that could be the perfect opportunity. Following Gordon's surprise making her the new saintess for the Goddesses' birthday festival, things have been moving fast for our cute heroine. After countless sleepless nights and testing, Belleie finally succeeds with her herbal research. Turns out, before she was reincarnated into this novel world, she was the president of a cosmetics industry. Talk about a glow-up with purpose! Her past experience and memories, especially those sparked at the moment of her death, are proving to be incredibly useful. Her plans take a sudden turn when the Grand Duke prepares to leave for a royal mission. Belleie boldly offers to protect him in his absence, showing off Beaky's true abilities. Guard mode, activated with glowing eyes and ringing bells. Skeptics are stunned, but Belleie knows what she's doing. She heads to the capital's Merchant Association to register her product, but instead she finds herself thrust into the Children's Entrepreneurship Competition. The grand prize? 500 gold coins. Amidst all her planning, she senses someone's gaze. A boy, alone and watching from a distance. Could it be that he's also interested in the same competition she's entering? Conflicted, she hesitates. Does she really want to go head-to-head with a kid? But her drive wins out. She needs the money to fund her goals. Right when she was about to confront the boy, he vanished. She's left with a chilling thought. His red hair and emerald eyes. Traits exclusive only to the royal bloodline. Could he be the Crown Prince in disguise? In the original plot, the Crown Prince was wrongly imprisoned for treason and fell into a coma after being attacked. He was betrayed, left in a tragic state by those he trusted, even his own brother. Questions spiral in her mind. Why is he here? Why join a public entrepreneurship competition? Is he trying to stay under the radar, or is this a strategic move? She runs back to find the Crown Prince. She recalls how Diana was supposed to rescue him in a dramatic arc, but now she wonders, Has her presence in this world changed that path? Suddenly, she abruptly stops in an alley, her face turned pale as she saw the Crown Prince's scarf and brooch. The Crown Prince is being ambushed. A masked assassin blade aims to kill the boy. She watches in horror, frozen between fear and instinct. This is it, the event that put him in a coma. Caesar, the Crown Prince, stands there afraid as he sees his guards all wiped out. In fact, the entrepreneurship scholarship competition was organized to discover innate talent regardless of status. He needed someone outside from the palace, not influenced by his mother, the queen. Someone who can help him earn money, has an extraordinary mind, who he can grow up and share values with. He organized this contest and secretly went out. Caesar points his small sword at the bad guy. Faced with their threats, he needed to find a way to get out of this situation by provoking them. The assassins sneer at his mocking behavior. Caesar charges his sword, slashing one of the bad guys. Still, he couldn't escape. One of the assassin's blades slashes him from behind. He doesn't defend himself well, resulting in his injury. As the assassins surround him, a teddy bear flies out of nowhere, attacking one of the bad guys, threatening the others as they run away. The teddy bear, now back to normal, brags about the victory. Belleie appears and praises the bear. Approaching Caesar, she checks to see if he's all right. Seeing him silent and unmoving made things awkward for her. She was about to release her divine power when she remembered that it wasn't her job to treat the royal family. As she was leaving, Belleie sees Caesar has passed out from his wound. Realizing how serious his injuries were, she wonders when his subordinates will arrive. She was too small to carry him. Suddenly, she remembers the teddy bear has a function called giant mode. The stuffed bear happily activates into a giant bear. Belleie instructs the bear to carry the Crown Prince back to the Merchants Association building safely. But before leaving, she heals his wounds a bit, leaving the rest for Diana. Tara is relieved to see the young lady back safe. She questioned the young lady where she ran off to and almost sent someone to the Duke's mansion. Belleie apologizes, seeing how she made everyone worry from her disappearance. At the Duke's residence, Edwin and Mr. Gordon scolds the young lady, promising not to do it again. A few days have gone by, and the goddess's birthday celebration has arrived, marking the beginning of promoting her herbal product. Belleie is reading the newspaper, relieved there was no news about the Crown Prince's issue. At this moment, Tara asks the young lady whether she wanted to wear the dress she currently wore for the celebration. She pouts, showing off the dresses she prepared. Belleie replied she was satisfied with just the anti-lost bracelet the Duke gave her, not wanting to show off the Duke's riches if she were to wear an extravagant dress. Back in the original timeline, Belleie would attend parties in the most expensive dresses. However, her attire wasn't suitable for the occasion, gaining backlash from people. One person harshly notes her divine powers were becoming weaker over time, and although she doesn't remember his face, she kept his opinion in mind, wondering how he knew about her power. Belleie begins to wonder, how did this mysterious boy know her healing powers were weakening? That wasn't something anyone should know. Not even she fully understood it in her previous life. Back then, she didn't know the cause, but the answer soon came to her the moment she was trapped in the room of repentance. It wasn't her powers that failed, it was her spiritual energy that disappeared. She had been so focused on being compared to Diana that she lost touch with what made her special in the first place. Before she can spiral too far, the butler knocks on her door, politely informing the young lady it's time for breakfast. Apparently, the Duke has invited her to join the rest of the family. Belleie walks in, happily, and greets everyone a good morning, sitting next to the Duke. The Duke and the two brothers, Edwin and Joshua, greet her as well. Since arriving, Belleie has been eating alone. The only time the family ever gathers is for dinner, but sitting on this table with them feels wonderful. She focuses on eating, but tension builds when the Duke comments on her table manners. Surprised by her table manners, he assumes the orphanage must have taught her, but the truth is, it's the Duke who taught her. The real reason for the sudden meal gathering is because today is a special day. Everyone is gathered to support Belleie, the day of the temple service where children compete by earning talents, an event to determine who qualifies as a saintess candidate. In other words, today could shape her entire future. Hearing this, she speaks out her true feelings, saying the idea of being a saintess didn't interest her. The Duke oversees this, as he heard the young miss has been plotting something. Gordon accidentally slips up that she had been working hard behind the scenes to improve her skills. So much for keeping that a secret! Embarrassed and frustrated, she protests, but the truth is out. She even apologizes, worried she's disappointing everyone, but the Duke reassures her. Even though the position of Saintess candidate can be bought, with the Duke's aid, he's given out a lot of exchanges to support her. The family was basically investing in her outcome, even if she didn't ask for it. Soon, Belleie arrives at the temple. Everything looks just as it did when she left, remembering how she used to hate this place, but not this time. Now, she walks forward with her head held high. She's not here to chase the role of Saintess. She's here on her terms, for her project, for herself. The booths were being set up by the other children. She feels a familiar chill creeping in. Whatever happens today, she's not the same person she used to be. A woman comes towards them, overhearing Belleie and Gordon's conversation. It turns out to be the director of the temple orphanage. She has a mischievous smile on, asking if Gordon is curious to know about Belleie's behavior during her time at the orphanage. In the past, it was the director who treated Belleie special when her healing powers came, giving her lots of attention. But the moment Diana entered the orphanage, all that attention went to her. The director soon kept comparing the two. While Diana received the support of the Marquise family, Belleie was shunned and ignored. Belleie saw through her disguise, seeing how she mocks her appearance. More priests arrive, beginning to mock Belleie for not bringing her personal maid, insisting Gordon not to get close with Belleie as they foresee she'll be back at the orphanage soon. Gordon retorts, defending the young lady, introducing himself as the Duke's family doctor. The director and the rest of the priests apologize for their behavior, not wanting to lose the donation the Duke has given to the orphanage. Belleie forgives them, not wanting to stir drama. Diana arrives, calling out for Belleie's attention. A crowd surrounds Diana, praising her dazzling appearance as compared to Belleie. She casually flaunts how the Marquise has bought her all sorts of outfits, not wanting to deny his hospitality. Not even a few minutes in from Diana's arrival, drama stirs up again. Diana's maid retorts as to why Belleie's personal maid wasn't the one helping her. This irritated Gordon, reminding them the young lady's maid has personally arranged everything. Everyone begins to gossip about the situation, pinning on Belleie for her choice of assistants. But she effortlessly avoids it, aware of the rules, and if she breaks the rule, they may report her as they please. Belleie's eager to surpass Diana. Both Diana and Belleie shake hands, wanting to have a fair competition. Gordon, with a serious look, worries Belleie might have been too optimistic. He begins to panic, wondering why their booth has no guests lined up. Looking at Diana's booth, it seems like all the sick people have gathered to be treated. Seeing how it's still early to panic, Belleie suggests they relax for a bit, confident they will sell out soon. Soon, a high-ranking noble arrives, Lady Cloud. Everyone's eyes were now on her, as the current emperor's aunt. With her status, she may be the only option to gain the attention of potential customers. In broad daylight, the long line of customers for Diana's treatment becomes exhausted. Belleie uses this to her advantage and begins to advertise their product with the use of a magical tool. Introducing their product made from fairy herb, great for colds and body aches, guaranteeing the effectiveness from the well-known Dr. Gordon Pelleas. The first 10 customers would receive it for free. Soon, people line up wanting to try this cost-effective potion. With the customers' positive comments, nobles began to purchase the product in bulk. This made the Marquise jealous. He gritted his teeth in anger. He angrily shouted how Diana was so enviable. As a Saintess candidate, why would she deceive people with a ridiculous drink? Belleie was not fazed by his anger. In fact, he has given her the attention she needs to promote her product. The Marquise continues to slander Belleie's cure-it-all potion, that he doesn't realize she has a sign stating the product is still in its clinical trials. It wouldn't be called a scam. The Duke's sudden appearance scares the Marquise. Belleie is happy to see the Duke and the young Duke Edwin arrive at the right moment. With nothing to defend himself, the Marquise leaves. Examining the potion Belleie created with the help of Gordon, the Duke is impressed, purchasing a huge order. Lady Cloud, who's been eyeing the young Belleie, wanting to know more about this potion of hers. She greets the Duke with curiosity, trying out the potion's effectiveness. Seeing that she likes the potion, Belleie hurries to unveil another product, a hair mist made especially for distinguished people. Eager to know more, Lady Cloud tries on the product, giving a positive comment on the scent. But soon, the price of the hair mist made her eyes wide open. After bargaining with the noblewoman, Belleie successfully sells the hair mist. Interestingly, Lady Cloud, liking Belleie's convincing ways, happily makes a deal with her. During this time, Gordon continues to sell more of the recovery potions, encouraged by Edwin and the Duke. Belleie, realizing this, she has made over $200. She happily thanks Edwin for his help. Thanks to the Duke's connections and Edwin's help, the potion was selling smoothly. For a while. The director approaches Belleie, saying she's been violating the rules. This was definitely the Marquise's doing. Edwin feels sorry and leaves after Diana thanks him for his help, reassuring him none of it is his fault. The moment Edwin leaves, the director tells her she has to pay a $50 fine for violating the rules. The noblewoman, Lady Cloud, overhears this and pays the fine, asking why the fine is a bit much for a kids' event. Because of Belleie's hair mist, the director doesn't notice the identity of this noblewoman and leaves. Amazed by the hair mist, she introduces more customers to Belleie, wanting to purchase the hair mist as well. Time passes by. Belleie and Gordon calculate everything they sold. Surprisingly, they made over $700, exceeding her goal. Belleie strolls around, resting. She finds herself in the temple's library, beginning her search for clues about her reincarnation and the missing heart. But none were the answers she needed. She gives up with the investigation and returns back. On the way back, she notices a boy being bullied. She recognizes him as the boy who was trapped in the room of repentance before her, losing his abilities in the process. Distracting the bullies, she runs towards the boy, Ismail, healing his wounds, recognizing him as the young Pope, Montanus III. In the original timeline, the boy was adopted by the Pope, making him one of the male leads. After the passing of the current Pope, the boy appeared, claiming the papacy for himself. Ismail, the boy, wakes up. Before he could talk to Belleie, the announcement's interrupted. Hearing the announcement, Belleie runs back in a hurry. He catches up to her, wanting to repay her for saving him. Shocked, lingers. Didn't he lose his voice? All this time, did he lie? In a hurry, she agrees to keep his lie a secret. With a few seconds to spare, Belleie arrives at the ceremony. If it hadn't been for the Duke's help, she would have been disqualified. Gordon informs Belleie he earned $111 from a mysterious young boy and asks to pass on a note. It read, "Treatment fee." The note was from the Crown Prince. Now comes the announcement of the winner. As the total of talents were revealed one by one, Diana, earning 770 talents, received praise. Thinking Belleie has lost, she sulks. Not until it's revealed that she has made 952 talents, making her the winner. And that's it for today, guys. What did you think? As always, don't forget to like the video and comment for the next part so we know you want more. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for updates. See you in the next one!